Hey guys, it's David, and today I want to show you some layouts in Factorio for ovens. A pretty common one is this one. You just have two iron ore belts on the outside, and in the center you have one iron belt, and the iron plates are just getting directly put on by the inserters. This design has one flaw though, and that's the fact that it's not fully compressed in the end. You can see there's still some place between the items, but the last ovens are not working because the inserters are not putting on the iron plates. Oops. And that's because of the game mechanic. So basically an inserter can only put in an item on the belt if there's enough place, room between two items on the belt to put another one on. To avoid this problem, you can introduce orthogonal belts like this design. Basically, it will push items onto the belt, and even if there's not enough room or space between two items, it will just push them around. So in the end, it's fully compressed. In this case though, it looks like the left side is not fully compressed. I think it's some bug with 0.15. I don't know, because the right side seems fine, and normally it should be fully compressed. And so the effect is, on the left side there's a throughput of around 2k iron per minute. On the right side you have 2.4k, and 2.4k is the maximum possible with blue belt. This design also has flaws though. For example, you can see it only uses half of the capacity on the side of the belt, like half of it's stationary, so you could get basically rid of one, and that's obvious because the ratio between iron ore and iron is 1, so if you have one iron belt exit, you also need also one iron ore belt supply, right? And that's mainly a relic of, I guess, coal ovens, because there you need the other line for the coal supply. But I mean, in the end game you can get rid of it, so a nice way to do it is like this. You see, I only have one iron ore belt, and also I use another mechanic. I got rid of the orthogonal belts and I used the underground belts, and basically if you put an item on the underground belt, like either the exit or the entrance, it will get automatically compressed. And it might look strange because it's already compressed at the beginning, unlike here where obviously there's not many items, so it will just not be so full at the beginning of the belt. But on this side it's fully compressed, and that's because actually the last ovens in the line get the highest priority to put their items on the belt. That's how they work. So it's basically it's just putting items between two items even if there's no room. So at the beginning it's moving pretty slowly, and at the end it will reach the speed of the belt, the iron on the belt. And so this is a pretty compact design. It gets rid of 3 tiles of this design, like 2 orthogonal belts and also 1 supply belt less. So it's 3 tiles narrower. Yeah. And so this one is a pretty nice design in my opinion. The thing though is that in the end game you most likely will be using modules. Me in particular, I really like productivity modules. So just because of the reason that in the end game the most annoying thing for me at least is to find resources and set them up to get mined and stuff like that. It's one of the things that you can't totally automate, right? So I want to get the most use out of the same resources. So for example, that's the same design, just with productivity modules. And the thing is, it consumes a lot of more power. It's 41 megawatts compared to 12 megawatts on this one. So it's more than triple time power. And another problem is it actually gets a bit longer. And that's because the productivity modules also decreases the speed by 30%, the crafting speed. But on the other hand, I also increased the productivity by 20%, so it's almost the same. But especially if you're using lower tier modules like tier 2 and tier 1, you will suffer. You will need a lot more ovens, probably 100. This one is using 86. So a way to address those problems is to use beacons. In this case I put in speed modules in the beacons, and that might sound strange because normally speed modules increase power draw per item. But in this case it's actually not like that, because the way it works, it's just adding. For example, we have like 160% power consumption because of the productivity modules. And each speed beacon will increase the energy consumption by 70%, but also increase the speed by 50%. And since it's only adding another 70% to power consumption, that's already 160%. But it increase the speed by 50%, it's more efficient. So in the end, this one only consumes 34 megawatts, so it's already like 8 megawatts less. And another advantage is it's much more compact, right? It only has 24 ohms instead of 86. But also it has, of course, speed beacons, but yeah, so it's a bit wider. The thing though with speed beacons, or like general beacons, is that they always draw power, 480 kilowatts. So a way to address this is to intelligently power off the beacons. For example, if I'm cutting off the iron ore, it will automatically. Or if I block the output, it will also stop. And the way I implemented this is basically just there's one sensor reading the content on this belt on hold mode, and I split it here because the problem is you can't really distinguish a stationary belt from a moving one if it's fully loaded. We see it like that, bam, it's just fully loaded. So I split it off to distinguish both states. And on the lower side I just read the belt content also in hold mode. And so here I have two comparators. One is comparing the iron reading to the number 5. So if there's less than 5 iron, it basically means the belt is not stationary at the end, so it will output a channel 0, a signal with amplitude 1. And the second combinator is comparing the amount of iron ore, and if it's bigger than 4, it means there's enough iron ore at the input, so it will also output a amplitude 1 signal at channel 0. And then I have another combinator, and that is just comparing the signal strength of 0 on channel 0, and if it's bigger than 1, it will turn on the power. So basically it's an AND operator. So if there's no compression at the end, so if there's if at the end there's it's not stationary, and at the beginning there's enough iron ore, it will turn on the power. So for example, if I have a partially loaded belt like this, it will start flickering, as you can see. It will just turn on the time it needs to be on because it will like wait until it gets stuck at the end, and then it will restart the power, right? So it just yeah, reduces the power on, and that's nice because you really don't want them on, the beacons, unless the ovens need to be on, because it's just, as I told, fixed power consumption. So the nice thing about this one is also that those speed beacons at the border can also affect another oven line. So you can just put multiple of those next to each other, as you can see, and just with like one speed beacon line that will affect both lines. And the advantage is it will consume less power, of course, because they share the beacons. And if you would have an infinite amount of ovens next to each other, it would actually reduce the power to 28 megawatts, so it's another 6 megawatts less than a single line. And you have to make sure though that like the power gets shared, like that, like it doesn't help if there's like this one running, just the both outsides running, then of course they won't benefit of it. So you probably have to make sure like that the next to that oven line next to each other will first turn on, and not like random places. But yeah, that's a more tricky thing to do in general factory design. And so here again you can see what happens if it's only partially loaded. And so this solution, in my opinion, is one of the best for like single stage processes, like melting iron ore to iron plates. But if you have like, if you want to produce steel, for example, it's a two-stage process, then this design can't be really used, like you have a problem. So what I did is just put a series of two of them. Like the first one is melting iron ore to iron plates, and the second one iron plates to steel. It's one of the easiest solutions. Like I couldn't make it work like in a one stage build. Yeah. So if you're wondering what mods I was using the creative mod. It's a pretty nice mod. You can basically build chests that output infinite amount of stuff, and also material voids or meta voids. Yeah, it will just take everything from the belt. So it's pretty nice to test out concepts and free play or sandbox mode, as well as you get some power sources. For example, active energy source that has 5.8 petawatts, so you have enough power to test out everything you want. Yeah, I hope you liked the video, and if you have any comments or suggestions, just write them down. See you.